Wow, Violet, would you like
Violet
to wave like
wave.
everyone else?
I was waving.
Oh.
Sorry.
Oh, it's two-handed.
I got a Coke in my other hand.
Oh, okay, fair.
Ooh.
Also, I feel like my computer was being a little bit laggy there, so sorry in
I didn't
advance.
notice anything.
Welcome everybody to book club, Tome Travelers in collab with Nostalgia Train Book Club. It's a double book club.
No type of jump scare like your own face.
I thought you might want to say something about your book club, introduce who you are, since you're never on this channel, never talked about, we never mention you at all.
Of course, nobody over here knows me. I'm just
Nobody.
completely anonymous.
New person.
Yep. I'm Violet representing the Nostalgia Train today. It's a fun place over there. That's all I gotta say.
Okay. You tried. I love that for you, Kelly. And none of us finished their books but Violet either, so.
Yeah. So.
Well, I
You're the
finished
worst book club.
Rangers. I just didn't finish Awakens. So, like.
I'm
does
just
that
curious,
count?
how
No,
far
you
in
still
is
kind
everyone?
of failed the, like
how badly
excited.
did we... Sorry.
Okay, do we want to go over the books we read and the theme, and then we can say how bad we...
And then we can say how bad it was.
Yeah.
Do you also want to say hi to the other people?
Oh, also, hi, Michael.
Hi.
Hi, Kelly.
See, there were people in the Discord. I feel terrible. I'm blanking on who said it, but they were like, "I'm reading all the books." I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, that's commitment. None of us are willing to do.
Read all of them. Yeah.
No.
I feel like I said that when we first started the book club. I was like, "Oh yeah, let's read more than one book a month. I'll totally try to read all of them," and then it's never. I can't even finish my own book. Like,
if you guys ever pick like all your picks are like books that are available at my library, I would read them all. That's just the availability issue I can never get my hands on.
Yeah.
See, I think the issue is that we all we settle on the age category before we actually look at the specific books usually. So then you're in like a pickle because you're like, okay, I need to find a book in this age category with that trope. And I personally hate looking for specific like age categories because I'm like, oh, this sounds cool. Oh no.
I know that is the premise of your book club, right? I mean,
I know.
Wait, and you said you wanted us in order of age categories, and I don't understand the order we're in right now.
Hold on. I think technically we would have to swap like this. So it'd be middle grade, YA,
yeah, okay.
MA,
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a second here. Okay. I'm gonna put the banner up for potential spoilers, even though none of us finished our books, so I don't really know how spoilers we're gonna get, but just
Violet did.
Yeah, there we go. Do we want to go around and do our initial, share what we read and just a little summary of the book? Yeah.
Am I supposed to go first because I'm up here?
You don't have to go first. We can also do our round and then have you at the end since you're the special guest. You are technically the youngest age category, though.
I can start. So I read Ranger's Apprentice, Book 1, Runes of Gorlin by John Flanagan. And it is a book about Will, who is a ward of a baron. All the orphans in the land or in that area who lost their parents get taken in by the baron to be raised as wards. And then when they're 15, they have this choosing day where all the craftsmen in the kingdom choose who they want to come and apprentice under them. And Will is the shortest, scrawniest guy, and he's a real orphan. He doesn't know who his parents were. Everybody else had oh, my noble dad fought and did this or something like that. And Will's just kind of he doesn't know his family history. Yeah. He really wants to go to battle school and be fierce, because he heard this legend that his dad was a hero in the war, but he doesn't know the specifics about it. He just knows that. So he's I'm going to go to battle school and be really tough, to live up to this one thing I know about my whole family. But the battle school doesn't want him because he's so scrawny and weak.
mean,
Yeah, but then he ends up going with the ranger because there's like one dark mysterious ranger in the land, Halt, which even though the whole time I thought his name was Holt, that's a whole thing.
Halt.
Holt is more of a name than Halt is, I feel like.
Yeah, so since I listened to the audiobook, I misheard it the entire time until I was like looking up the details on Wikipedia, and I was like, is there a typo on Wikipedia? And then I was like, no, I thought that was you mishearing it the entire time.
Yeah.
So yeah, then he has to go be the ranger's apprentice, and it's kind of like the ranger makes him do like a bunch of, cleaning and odd jobs, and like he's supposed to learn how to sneak and climb and I don't know, do ranger stuff. He doesn't kill a boar. He's there when some boars are killed, but he kind of gets credit for it. Yeah.
Sorry, I just remembered that scene. It made me cry.
I know. I'm like,
When I was little, I
wait.
was like, hold him, like, stop.
I'm like, this is gonna turn into a ranger.
My daddy
Orphan real
issues
fast.
coming through.
Oh, and the other thing I wanted to say is like it's like a medieval like England type world, but it doesn't feel like very like magical or fantastical, other than like the only thing like that really felt magical in the world to me was like the mention of like these sort of mythical beasts that were like there. There's the wargles, which are kind of like seem like really reminded me of the Urgles from Aragon.
Yeah.
I was like, is that the same thing? Or the orcs from Tolkien?
Yeah.
And then like there was one other like creature that they mentioned, and I was like, oh, okay, that was like the only like little fantasy magical aspect in the world. So that's me.
Yeah.
And?
What would you rate it?
Oh, well, this actually was a reread. I read this last year for the first time. I mean, 3, like average.
Okay.
I think
Fair
I would have loved it more if I was in middle school.
Yeah.
I think we missed out on that. I've mostly read Uprooted by Naomi Novik. I'm on chapter 22 out of 32, and I have about 3-ish hours left on double speed. So, I'm a good chunk into the book, and so it starts off, which I think is really interesting, with the narrator describing this girl that is so special in their village, because apparently, there's a dragon that comes every, I don't know how often, and the dragon will take the most special girl, right? And so she goes on to describe this other girl that's so special, and everyone knows that the dragon's going to pick that girl. And I mean, we know the dragon's not going to pick that girl, but the dragon's going to pick our main character, right? But she doesn't know that. So she goes on to describe her, and I thought it was really funny. And obviously the dragon comes, the dragon picks her, and she's like, what the fuck? Right? And so she has to go with the dragon, and she kind of then just chills with the dragon, and the dragon kind of makes her, do stuff around the place. I don't know if it's a castle or I don't know. I tend to skip over details of what things look like and stuff like that. And so she's there with the dragon, and the dragon keeps hurting her in a way. And she later finds out that that is him trying to teach her magic, because that's really what he does. She didn't know that she was a witch or had any magic, but that's something that she discovers, and that's something that he was trying to not kind of awaken in her, but just kind of strengthen. And once, she has that mental jump of she starts to realize that she is actually pretty good at specific types of magic. And how she sees it is that there's this comparison that she did where she's like, well, I always used to go to the woods, and I know where the best berries would be to find and stuff like that. And that's kind of how her magic works too. She just intuitively knows stuff and then makes it work. And it really infuriates the dragon, because the dragon's like, how the fuck are you doing it? And she's like, I don't know. I'm just doing it, And my favorite scene is when the dragon gets really mad, and the author's like, the dragon sulked for 3 days and then he came back and was really nice again. Because I get it too. He has been studying these journals for decades, whatever, and she just comes in and wings it. What the fuck is up with that? But yeah, so the dragon, I think the dragon has a human form, because they do make out at some point, but I couldn't tell you how or when or why they would switch. Yeah. Yes.
They make out.
So see, the whole Uprooted thing is kind of there's a curse, and it's kind of it's in the woods, kind of and once you get bitten by a wolf or something like that, the woods kind of become the enemy. There will be what is it called? When roots, obviously. Like, they will
Yes.
sprout and they will take you, and it's kind of like an infection, and once it got you, like, you're kind of done for, you know? It's over for
Okay.
you. And that's the whole thing. And sometimes when some people are, like, sick with that, they kind of influence other people to do things, or like influence specific moods, and like that was one of them. Like, the dragon just kisses her and she's like so into it, and then like they make out, you know, we get to open pens, and then
How
they're
old
like,
is she?
oh,
Sorry.
she's 18. Like,
She's how
nothing happens, right? We just get to opening pens, and then they're both like, what the fuck did we just do? Because it was the influence. Like, it wasn't them doing it, kind of a situation.
So they were like
Okay.
manipulated into
Okay.
making out.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's weird, because up until this point, like, it was a really, like, mentory relationship where the dragon was like, okay, I'm going to try to teach you. I'm going to try to not rip your head off because you're being stupid, you know? And then they just make out, which kind of almost ruined everything for me, but I've gotten over it since.
That's
Okay.
fair.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, Lynn has a question, Anne.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But he does fly. So,
All
that,
right.
yeah. I should have probably mentioned that.
Sounded good though, other than that weird.
It is
It's
very
not doing
good.
anything.
I have been enjoying the crap out of this. I'm on the way to give it like 4.5 stars. It could
Okay.
lean 4, it
Oh.
could lean 5. We'll see how it goes with the ending.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm intrigued.
Neat.
me too. It's really good. And I think, is this a standalone? That's what Wikipedia says. But I feel like it's not. I feel like there's other covers that look very similar to this one.
Or maybe I feel like all of her covers look similar.
I mean, fair.
That author. Like,
It's
that's
kind
her
of shady to
branding.
say.
No, like I feel like that's her branding. You know what I mean? Like, never mind. Are you?
Well, it does say standalone, so.
I read Awakens by Elise Kova.
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 Yes.
I think.
Yeah, at least I should know my book. And I've only read like half of it. I'm like 45% through, I think.
Okay.
Basically, it's an elemental magic world, but magic is like all hush hush. Like, oh, they're the sorcerers. We don't deal with them. But you know, like they stay in their tower, and most people are like, magic is sus, you know. And our main character name's Vala, which for some reason I don't want to harp on the name too much, but like, have you ever read a book and the main character's name, you're just like, I don't like how it looks on paper, and for some reason I can't get over it. For some reason, Vala was one of those names for me. I was like, I kept thinking like Valhalla, like what? No, like what is this?
Yeah.
So that was hard to get over in the beginning. And she's basically like, I'm an apprentice in the library, and I just like, you know, reading books and fixing books and doing research and doing my own thing and not really doing anything else, which is fine. I'm like, that sounds great to me. I'll hang out in the library all day, and that would be fine with me. And she sort of has some friends, but they're not like, they're like her childhood friends because she's been an apprentice for a while, and she's 17, I believe. So I'm not really sure this fit new adult, but we can get into that later. But so she's 17, you know, several years into her library apprenticeship, and then I'm trying to remember what the specific inciting incident was. So there's two princes in the kingdom, of course, and one of them's like the super hunky, charismatic one, and he like came into the library once, and she helped him, and she's like, I love him, like kind of insta love,
Of
kind
course.
of thing, even though they like exchange like 2 words, you know, but she's like swooning over him. And then there's the older prince who's like, oh, he's one of the like antisocial, like maybe has magic, like we're gonna isolate him and he's sketch kind of thing. And you can already tell where this is going, like like,
Can we though? You've never read a book, enlighten us.
And basically there's news that like there was a battle and one of the princes is injured, but they don't say which one. And she's like, I'm gonna do research and like work all night and search the library so I can save him, because she thinks it's the swoony guy, right? The one that she like met for 2 seconds. And then of course
Obviously
she
the
like
love of her life. Come on.
yeah, she gets in a
Completely.
trance, and somehow they like figured out through her research that she left a traces of magic or something. It was kind of a gray area for like how they figured it out. And then she gets kidnapped and taken to the sorcerer tower because they're like, you have magic and we want to figure out what. And she had then been like, yeah, so she gets kidnapped in the tower, and then they're like, you have magic, and she's like, no, I don't, and like very in denial. But then it turns out she's a wind walker, like, so it's like elemental, like there's like the fire people and like
Okay.
you know, and I guess
Oh!
air people are like have been super rare, like it's been hundreds of years since the last
Oh,
wind
like
walker.
in Avatar.
Yeah,
The Last Airbender.
yeah. There's a lot. The whole story is very tropey. I will say it's not necessarily bad. Like it fits the mold. Like if you want an easy, just like this is how it is, read, like nothing too crazy. Like it, it works. Like I don't hate it, but I'm not like nothing in it was like unpredictable or like edge of my
The
seat
author's
worthy.
very good at that.
Yeah, like it was again, like she nailed it for what it was, but like it wasn't necessarily like special or spectacular. So yeah, and then of course, she starts training with the prince, and they write like letters to each other through a book, and she can't tell it's him at first, and then she figures out it's him, and it's the whole weird like
Cute.
and they're giving her like a decision of like, do you want to join the sorcerers or not, because there's like a stigma, but she's like kind of embracing her power at this point and like training with the prince. But I don't know how old he is, which is kind of weird. So I'm like, she's 17, like what's and he seems older, like a lot older, and it's a weird like, you can tell maybe they have this magic bond because like she helped save his life basically, so now they have this bond supposedly. But like beyond that, like I don't know, it's kind of weird. But it's elemental magic, and the mentor apprentice thing is definitely there, but it's kind of weird because you can tell they're probably going to end up together too, which I have mixed feelings about. But it was pretty generic, but it doesn't necessarily bad. Like I'd give it maybe like 2.5, 3, like not like terrible, but like it is what it is. Like there's on paper, if you just want to, like I would read it on my commute to work on my phone, on my Kindle, and like it was nice, just a nice little filler, easy read that you can. It's not like if you set it down for a couple of days, you're gonna be like, what was happening? Like it's not that deep. So I don't know. I know there's more, and I feel like it might lead up to more, and I only read half of it, so maybe it escalates more at the end. But for the half
You
I
need to read
read,
half of it.
yeah. So, yeah, that's Awakens.
I read The Naming by Allison. I want to say it's Krogan. And I feel like it's literally just Lord of the Rings. But like but like there's women in it.
Love that. It's just what we need. Like
sorry. Well, it's not just Lord of the Rings, but so basically there's, so Sauron in this is just the nameless one, who's this like man. So the magic system in this world, there's like bards, right? They're all bards, they're all from different colleges. I get the sense that they all sing, but that their magic is not related to singing. It's a little confusing. But basically the nameless one thousands of years ago was like, you know what? I don't want to die. Dying sounds like it's not for me. So
fair enough.
he gets rid of his name, and apparently to die you need a name. Tracks, I guess. I don't know. But then like so maybe it's Harry Potter as well. I've never read or watched Harry Potter, but like
I've seen Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter be compared. Like they're pretty similar too.
Yeah. So basically he's like evil and never die. He's a lich and he never dies. And so you have like the bards of light and the evil bards who serve the nameless one. And basically the whole the concept is like an ancient evil's coming back, and there's like a prophecy about this like person who will like save them, you know, classically. And so the main character, her name is, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Mayred, Maerad.
Okay.
So she's a bard, but she was like stolen from like her bard college when she was really young, and like she became a slave, and so she's like 16 years old. She doesn't know she's a bard. Her mom's dead because she died in slavery, and
love
this
elves.
random guy shows up. His name's Cadvan. I don't like his name.
Cadvan?
Cadvan, like Cad, CAD, and then Van,
Okay.
VAN.
Okay.
So Cadvan's kind of chill. He's really grumpy. He's really angsty, and he has like mood swings. I don't know what's wrong with him. I guess he's been through a lot. Like one second he's really happy, and the next second he's like yelling at her, and I'm like, okay, buddy. Anyway, he's like Aragorn but worse.
Solid.
So basically, like, he saves her because like he's invisible and she can see him, and he's like, okay, but like you shouldn't be able to see me, and she's like, well, I can see you, and he's like, right, so you're a bard. And basically the whole concept is that he rescues her and they travel together, and they're basically, I haven't finished it either, full disclaimer. I'm about over halfway through, so I have like 100 something pages left. They're traveling to go see, I think, Cadvan's like mentor to like get more information and stuff about it. But yeah,
Lynn has a question.
Is that not his real name? That's how he introduced himself. That's so weird. I might have missed that. I, like Anne, skip over unimportant parts.
Well, you remembered something about the story, so
Yeah. But yeah, and I guess it's book 1 of 4, so I'm like, it's kind of like the setup right now. She's like coming into her own, and they're traveling together, and like you learn as she learns because she doesn't know anything. Oh, sorry. Yeah. It's giving fairies, you know?
I see.
But yeah, so I would give it like 3.5 stars. It's not anything new. It's just
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's there. The reason I say it's like Lord of the Rings is because they literally just have Nazgul, but they're not called that. But they're black riders who scream a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Also, with
Yeah.
gold stars all around for everyone not finishing their books except for Violet, who
And Lynn, apparently.
Right. Hey, I feel like we all did like half of the book. That's like, if you round it up, that's done.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like we finished.
I don't know
one
if
of
I'm
the
gonna.
books
I
together.
might finish it just to see. Like I said, like my book was like average enough where I'm like I didn't like DNF it like halfway point, but like it's a good
Yeah.
like reading it on my train ride to work. Like
The author really delivers what she promises. I read her other start of a series,
yeah,
Deal with the Elf King, which is an arranged marriage with an Elf King to save her people, and that is exactly what happens, and nothing is surprising, and you're like, I got what I wanted.
yeah. You're like it ticks the marks, but is it special and like super unique? No, but is it what it is? Yeah, like.
I think, and this is an assumption, but I think the author writes to market a lot because it feels like she's writing a lot of very popular things at times when they're popular.
I feel like it's smart though. I feel like I could see with just her writing style and like how even like halfway through this book, like the main character and the princess dynamic were evolving. I'm like, I feel like because these are more like, I don't know, like geared younger, I feel like some of her other books are older and or more like smuttier from what I can tell.
Yes.
So I feel like this was like, I don't know if she wrote this first or like this was different because I feel like, I don't know, like without that I don't know. Like it felt maybe like her other books were maybe more like romance heavy, and this was being held back because the main character was younger. I don't know. Speaking of age,
Hold on, let's address some comments before we do
Okay,
that.
okay.
I feel like we've been ignoring all the people. Han, this is for you again.
I
Oh, did you
answered
answer
that in
this?
the comments.
Okay.
I did not. I skip over that stuff.
Fair. Very fair. Well, Mars is having some shareable things. Technically, I didn't read the first Ranger's Apprentice this month. I read the third one. I'm going to read the fourth one tomorrow. Good for you.
Ooh.
I did reread Uprooted, and it was like my fourth or fifth read ever. What? Wow.
Wow. You must
That's-
really like it then.
Yeah. I mean, though, I feel like Mars rereads stuff generally more than like I would do. So
do we want
I
to?
think that's everything.
Okay. Do we want to talk about age category? So if we think it was a good fit for
Yes,
because I feel like
please.
that's okay. Violet.
I mean, so obviously the whole point of me joining was that I could do the middle grade pick.
Yeah.
Okay, Will is 15 in the book, which I mean, 15 is kind of YA age, but like the lowest end of YA that you can get away with legally. But the tone feels very middle grade. Like, I mean, you guys said you read it when you were in middle school, right? Like,
Yeah. Early middle school,
like
yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't feel any. Yeah, it felt very middle grade. The tone to me fit
Yeah.
perfectly, I think.
Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah.
Well, to get my opinion, you have to come back on Sunday on Violet's channel because I will read it until then.
Fair.
So I don't know how I feel about. I think it would more be like an NA book. Like as I said, like we don't really get a lot of the setup. Like we don't know if she's had romantic relationships or anything like that at all. But like pretty in the beginning, in the castle where she lives with the dragon, the person, there's also royalty, and so the prince. Like she's trying to get the prince to help her run away because she wants to go back to her village, right? And then he kind of like forces himself on her. And you know, that's like pretty early in the book. And as I said, she's like 18-ish. And like she like releases some magic that she doesn't know she has and almost kills him, and then the dragon like helps her heal him so he doesn't die. And then the dragon plants a memory in the dude's mind of the girl, like the main character, sleeping with him, so the dude will leave her alone. And then, you know, we have the weird scene on the next day where like the dude will blow her a kiss and like wink at her. I'm just like, this feels new adult. This should have been new adult. But other than that, there's not really anything. I mean, as I said, they do make out, and like there's this whole like, I think it's kind of like her awakening in a way where she was like, oh, this is the first time I've ever, you know, felt this or like been interested, the first time I've ever, you know, that kind of a thing. So I get that that would be a YA trope, like first discovering your sexuality in a way. But yeah, just the way the whole beginning thing with the prince was, I don't feel really comfortable saying this is like a good, clean YA. And I also don't know where they're going. Like, as I said, they did make out pretty heavily, so who knows where that is going.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I think we all know where it's going. I'm sorry.
Maybe
Dragon sex?
I mean, yeah, but not dragons. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like ours should have been switched maybe, and because I feel like mine like was definitely felt mostly YA. Main character, she's 17, so younger than your character even. But
Okay,
she does
hold on.
talk about
Apparently people do know where it's going, and it's not YA. So, thank you.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's. I feel like I'm in the same boat with Awakens. Like what I did read was mostly feels very YA, like just the author's writing style, and then the main character being 17. But she does talk about how she's like slept with another guy before in her past, but like it wasn't that great. She's like whatever. But you could tell it's definitely gonna like spice things up with the prince, but I didn't know how explicit it was gonna be. You know, like obviously they're gonna end up together, but I'm like, I don't know how in depth this is gonna be. Like, is this still gonna be YA on paper or not? So I don't know, but it did feel like very like tropey and like, oh, I'm an apprentice and blah blah blah. Like, I don't know, coming of age, like, oh, I discovered my magic. So I feel like the half I've read fit the YA mold more than new adult, but that doesn't mean the end of the book or the other books in the series are gonna stay that way, because I'm like, anytime two people have a bond of some sort, you know that's where that's gonna go. So yeah.
I agree with this to a
Right.
certain extent, but I feel like there's very clear lines you need to draw with YA books, and your reader should not be turned on by what is written on the page. Like, it can be described in not as great detail. Like, I don't know, in The Fault in Our Stars, like, it's very important for them to have sex because, like, their first time, right? But it's like, you see them take off each other's clothes and kissing each other, and that's where that ends. And I feel like that's a good line to draw.
After the foreplay.
And
Yeah.
and for me, for Awakens, where I really was like, this is not YA, is because I think the prince was older, and that's why I was like, she's 17, and I'm pretty sure he's
That's so
older,
weird.
but I have to double check. Maybe he's like only 18 or something, or 19. Like, and that's, but like, I don't know. Like, I felt like the age thing needed to be addressed more, and because it wasn't, and like, I don't know. She just seems so like naive and oblivious to even just like magic stuff in her own self that I'm like, I don't know if this is like, I don't know, like adult. I don't know. It felt very young adult, but the prince feels.
Don't comfort him like that. I love the dragon. But yeah.
Yeah.
Just
I agree
in the
with
right
this.
way.
It's just like depends on the circumstances. I feel like
Don't make it spicy. Just make it real.
real. Yeah.
Make it awkward. It's always awkward.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, is he really old or is he like just cool? Like, you know, how in all of the fantasies, like all of the new adult fantasies that are coming out recently, like the girl's like 20 and the guy's like 150, and you're like, oh yeah, that's great.
That's normal.
Sorry,
Yeah.
and there's a Michael joke in there somewhere. I just gonna
No. No. Do they? Either I skipped it or I haven't gotten there. I don't care. Anne, what do you think about your age?
No, absolutely not. Was not a good fit. This, I don't know what I did wrong. I should have like, when I was researching, I should have not just picked the first book that came up that looked marginally interesting under the adult with mentor apprentice thing. This is like, I wouldn't even say this is YA. I would be like, this is middle grade. Like, it has that kind of energy. Yeah. Like, this is something, I was talking about it with someone like a few days ago. This is something I would have read in like middle school.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, is that a statement of the book or of who you were in middle school?
What?
Like, does it address the book or who you were in middle school?
I think it addresses both.
Okay.
But there's no like sexy time. The main character is 16. So she's very young. It's very much like a coming of age kind of energy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no sexy time. I think sometimes it's like it can have graphic moments when she's kind of having these flashbacks of like her little brother being murdered. But I also feel like when I was young, I would read stuff like that and it would kind of like go over my head.
Yeah.
I think kids are like, they're not picturing it as much as like you're an adult and, you know.
Yeah.
Wow.
So our books, other than Rangers, seems pretty on brand and consistent. The rest of our books are just
well, okay, so the one book actually none of us picked is a fit. And what we did.
Yes.
Congrats, Violet. You win.
Once again.
All right.
Well said. I love when Lynn comes out to roast people. Yep.
Here for it. All right. Overall thoughts on the whole mentor apprentice trope dynamic. However, I feel like it's not a trope because I feel like there's always some sort of mentor figure in most fantasy. So open discussion? Because I feel
Yes,
like we
I
kind of
have
touched on. Okay.
I feel like there's two ways this is done. Either the characters end up together or they don't. And when they do end up together, you have to make it in a way where they're similar, like not necessarily in age, because apparently that doesn't matter, but like at least in their mindset, right? Like where they have like common goals, or the like mentor is significantly older and like trying to just give what they have to the young person and then just, fuck off, die, whatever, you know? And I feel uncomfortable with the first version of this if like the mentor is like if the first half of the book is like the mentor very like teachy and preachy and whatever, and then it like turns like so quickly, like, oh, I've told you everything that I've known. Like now that I've treated you like a child for the past 3 months, let's fuck. Like I feel like that can be questionable. I'm sure it can be done right. I just don't see it as much.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it was the same kind of vibe. Like I didn't finish it, but I could just see like the prince, who's also ultimately going to be her love interest, and like obviously they were going to team up and like help save the kingdom or whatever with their magic and their bond.
You did not say that. I mean,
right,
but true.
Oh my. Yeah, he's like her friend and like kind of flirting with her, but then sort of takes up the mentor, let me teach you role. And I'm just like, I don't know.
That's always weird to me. I don't like it when it's like that.
It's and he had weird pet names for her. I can't remember what they were, but they just weren't. Not a fan. Like,
very fair.
Didn't do anything for me. I was like, this is just. It's weird, and I feel like it's only going to get weirder. You could see.
Fair.
Which.
I will say, this is like I'm going to embarrass myself. When I was younger, like when I was in high school, I would have eaten up something where the mentor and apprentice were like in a relationship. Same. But now it's like weird to me. I'm like, ew, no.
So that say something about like
maybe, yeah.
how we mature and like what's that?
I feel like it says a lot about me.
No, I think when you're younger, you would obviously be like the apprentice, and you would be like the chosen one. You know, that's also like how grooming works. Like the adult giving the child a lot of attention and like making it a positive thing, and why that's working. So I think it makes sense. Like if you're the child or younger, you would want that type of attention because you want to be the special one. You want to be the chosen one because in all of these, the apprentice is the chosen one, right? Like the one person that's the best or the coolest or whatever. So I think that probably moved in with.
Or do you think it had anything to do with how, like, not to get, I won't go too deep on this, but like, stereotypically, it's like girls mature faster and like maybe the like intellectual attractive, like, oh, like the maturity and like, oh, stuff and the knowledge was what was like appealing, or why the authors wrote it this way too.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like I never found.
I mean, it's healthy.
My
like,
age attractive,
but
yeah, like none of my peers. I was like,
right,
So, and I think like when you're like in high school, like you are naive enough to not see the like red flags with it. Because now I'm like, okay, you're having like 150-year-old person. That's insane.
But he's on hand. But he's hot.
Well, yeah.
Also, usually the mentor is male, right? Like the apprentice can be male or female, but the mentor is almost.
The mentor is always a man. It's a little predatory.
I did forget to mention. So in Awakens, the prince was obviously sort of filling in the mentor role for a lot of it, but there was another lady, a fire person, who took care of Vala and like was very involved and was kind of hinted at being. She was a mentor figure for the prince too, I think, and it was hinted at that maybe she'd be a mentor figure for both of them. So maybe I was wrong with my assumption, and she seemed cool, and I did like that they had like. But I still was like, why does it have to be the prince, the older prince? Like, why is that always? Why can't it just be like her and this woman having a bond and like learning too? Like,
no, we need the male energy. Violet, do you want to say something? You made a very express his face.
I mean, my book is completely different because it's not a romantic thing.
It's healthy mentor apprentice. Like
I mean, this is only book one. I don't know where it's gonna go.
No, no.
Ew, no.
I think I read all, like, not any of the super new ones, but Anne and I read most of them, I think. And it does not. It's very wholesome. Will and Halt dynamic through the whole series.
To be honest, their dynamic was my favorite part of the whole
Yeah.
book. Like a lot of like the fighting scenes or the this and that, like I could have cared less about. I was kind of glazing over, like, and then they did this and stuck behind here. I was like, I'm like, what's the outcome? What happens to the boar? Okay, Like I didn't really care, but like the cute moments between them, like especially they meet Halt's former apprentice Gillen on the way to the gathering. And like I'm like trash for this. Like this is like my grownish a little bit apprentice, and now you're the new apprentice. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like middle school me would have died. Like I would have been like, I don't know, like
Em and I were fully in love with Gillen.
Yeah,
like it was real bad.
No, Gillen's a hottie. I don't even remember if they even gave a description of him. His personality was just cool.
Obsessed with Gillen.
That man is so fine.
We love him.
And he's the only thing I know about Gillen is he is good with a sword. It's his only like personality trait.
No, right?
He's tall and he's good with the sword.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all you need.
Look how swoony they got down there.
Look, this was like bonding moment for like origins of Hannah and I's friendship was over Rangers, legitimately. Like
we started writing because of Rangers.
Yeah,
we were like, let's put Star Wars and Rangers Apprentice together and call it
and add some elemental.
Apprentice.
Yeah, and we were like, let's add some elemental magic and shit in there. It was a whole thing. It was great. It was beautiful. I don't want to sabotage your talking, Violet, but like I feel like Halt's like sarcasm and like they're just little banter, like it's honestly why I read Rangers. Like just their little quips and stuff was just so good. And Halt's just constantly like rolling his eyes and being sarcastic. Like it was the best. No.
I just remembered something.
Do you want to talk about it?
No, not really.
Okay, then we'll address some comments.
Okay.
I point once again to the fact that I read Uprooted in 2015. It definitely has its faults, but I can ignore them for how this book makes me feel. I agree. Like,
That's
books can be terrible, but if you read them when you didn't realize they were terrible, they can still be great to you.
We all have problematic favorites, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great way to great phrase of calling them problematic favorites.
Yeah.
Plus, the relationship isn't a super big part of the story. It's not like it's fantasy romance. It's fantasy with romance. I completely agree. It's not the main focus point of anything up until this point. I feel like their kiss really came almost out of nowhere because it was very, very platonic before that. And, you know, just really like, let me help you teach you shit, kind of. And then that happened. So,
yeah. Yeah.
That was
a lot of books like that.
That was my one gripe with Rangers, and I didn't realize it when I was younger, but like when I reread it, I was like, wow, like
there's not enough women.
The lack of, and like the women, like Jenny and Alice, like they literally, why don't they get to be warriors too? And like I know John Flanagan's writing like a new series where Will gets an apprentice that's a girl. That's like his new spin-off series, but I'm like still, like I would have liked. I get that it's supposed to be like medieval and like kind of a little historically based, but that was my one gripe with Rangers upon my reread. At the time, I don't think I realized it because Hannah and I were like, whatever, we'll pretend to be Rangers, and like we totally came up with skits and stuff. Like, but that was my one thing was I was like, there's no female like badass people in this. Like, they have to go into diplomacy or cooking. Okay, like,
wow.
No if you put it that way, you're right.
No
that is pretty.
To Alice and Jenny, but like Horace and Will get to do all the rescuing and cool stuff. I'm sorry.
I think there was a line that even said like, "Oh, the girls make the best diplomats."
Yeah, I was like, "What the fuck is that about? Like, why can't they be diplomats and warriors? Like, they can do it all." Like,
right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I love Holt though. He's
Holt
like
is best.
and
Good bad.
the end. I don't want to spoil the ending scene for people who haven't read it, but the ending scene is just not necessarily the epilogue, but like the ending scene where he like finally, I guess this is a spoiler, he finally smiles and gives Will like his smile of approval. Like I thought that was the most wholesome ending. Sorry, I'm going totally on a range.
It's okay. I love it.
I can't make up. I have to make up for it because I can't make it to Violet's stream on Sunday, so I have to talk all my Ranger stuff now.
Please do. We'll just like play clips of this.
I feel like if we would have known each other when we were younger, we would have been.
Yeah, because
now,
I've never
like-
met anybody else for a while that had read it. So,
But it's so good. Like we were obsessed. Hey, do you remember when we were at that like cafe and we were getting dinner and we came up with the whole potatoes?
the spicy potato.
See, we would come up with like writing and like role-playing skits about Rangers in our free time, like peak middle school M in hand. Like
It was
I
really
love
bad.
yeah. It was great though. Out of all the things to be obsessed with, this was a good one. I even made my own Will action figure out of a little like it was like a wood pin, but I drew a little face on it and I gave him a little cloak and like a little quiver of arrows and a bow, and it was very cute. Anyway, I'll stop nerding out about Rangers now.
No, you don't have to. It's so fine.
Good. Whose name? Gillen?
I also forgot. No, yeah, I think.
I think it was Gillen, yeah.
I really like that Uprooted had a best friend involved throughout the story. It wasn't just her and her mentor, so that was a nice change from the usual mentor-mentee. Yes, I feel like I haven't talked about this, but like when she runs away before she comes back, like she finds a friend, like one of the girls from the village, maybe even the special girl, and anyway, something happens to the girl, and the girl gets infected with the stuff, like the stuff that's going on. But then our main character manages to save her and like get that out of her system again, which has never happened before. Like before it was like you're bitten, you're gone for, right? But she and the dragon managed to save the girl, but then the girl can't really go back because everyone's like, well, once you've been bitten, you have the bad stuff in you, like you're gone, right? And so the other girl kind of has to stay with them. And even then, other people, like the prince and stuff, come back and still want to kill the girl because they can't believe that our main character and the dragon like healed the girl. It's a pretty major plot line. I don't know how I forgot that. Here we are. I think it does add to it too, because that kind of like makes sense because our main character then is kind of between the characters because she did have time with just the dragon, but she obviously then gets her friend back that she knows significantly better, but she's kind of like still between the two, if that makes sense. Like she's still everyone's bestie in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know? You know, you could also just read a book sometime.
Wow.
Yeah, I think that really dates the book that the girls are such great characters. No one goes and one goes to cooking school. Hell no. No female knights.
Yeah, I feel like listen, I think Alice, the whole diplomacy thing, that's pretty neat. I do think the cooking thing, like that's pretty.
Yeah,
It's
and,
a
they
little
were
sexist.
calling like Jenny chubby and stuff in the beginning. I was like, what's that about? Like,
Yeah.
why does the chubby girl have to be the cook? Like, why can't she be like badass warrior too? I'm sorry.
No, like
Like-
every time they mentioned her, they mentioned that she's chubby, and then like always mention like her cooking or like her like critiquing other food. Like it's her only personality trait.
Yeah, it's her whole personality.
Yeah.
And then okay, the one like tiny like silver lining to the like lack of female badass stuff in Rangers was I did like, I'm pretty sure at the end, spoilers everyone, that Alice made a move on Will at the end. Like she was the one who was like, I like you, and like gave him a kiss and stuff
Yeah.
at the end, right? Am I making
That's
making
because
that up?
Will would not have done it. Will could
like,
not have done it.
I will give point a little bit of like a point, singular point to that moment.
Half a
Of
point.
like, of like the girl made the move and like kind of was like, but it was still like the focus was on Will, and she's like, "I'm proud of you, Will." I'm like, "What about her accomplishments?"
Right.
Okay, well, I'll get off my soapbox now.
No. The other silver lining is Alice's mentor.
Oh, Pauline.
She's so cool. I like her and
Cool,
Hulk's
too.
little
Yeah,
little
that's why I feel like
thing.
I have to like separate like what I just read from Ruins of Gorlin and all the other books because I know things do develop more, but like spoilers to anyone reading Rest of Rangers.
2004, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
Mhm.
that might be fun. I forgot how much I
into
missed
it.
them and loved the books. I might read more, and I really like the audiobook too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I have
I've
the
never
physical,
read
like,
the audiobook. Or
Huh?
sorry.
What did you say?
I said I've never listened to the audiobook.
I
but
hadn't
want
either.
to.
That's why I was like, for the reread, I'm like, let me listen to it because the library had it, and I was like, you know what? Let's try it. And it was great because the guy was, at least the one who did my audiobook, the guy was British and could do Holt's accent because, you know, he's got the Hibernian accent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
well, you have until Sunday to finish it. Come to the live show on
And I'm
Violet's channel.
spoiling it for everyone.
Spoilers are fun.
Sorry to spoil
Yeah.
your stream, Violet. All right. I feel like we kind of talked about this a little bit, but just overall thoughts on like the world building, anything with the culture, the magic, or whatever that stuck out in your books. It sounds like most of them were pretty generic.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I think the magic system in this book is really good. I feel like when a book has to have like notes on pronunciation and like appendices, it's pretty like solid world building. I wish I would have paid more attention to the magic. I think it's kind of like I'm confused because the main character's confused. Like she doesn't know what she's doing. That's what happens to her. Like I'm like the newest thing that happened is the like fake Nazgul thing. The Nazgul basically attacked them. And I don't know what one of them was a sorcerer and like summoned something, and then something happened and the main character killed it, and it was she doesn't know what happened. And I don't know. So I think the magic system is interesting, but I don't really understand it. And I kind of think that you're not supposed to,
Yeah.
you know, be confused with the main character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine was very generic elemental fantasy and like, oh, everyone's like magic isn't like genetic or anything. It's just random people get it and like then their powers get awoken one day and you know and like trained or else like it could be dangerous and like you know she can do stuff with air and these fire people can do stuff with fire. Like it's very generic. Like
Wouldn't like an air person really easily defend a fire person just by removing the air because fire can't exist?
Yeah, I think they were maybe like alluding to that a little bit.
Okay.
Because I think she like snuffed out like one of the princes because he was a fire guy and he was like don't like it was a little moment between them, but like she's very novice right now where she's just like blowing out candles with a wave of her hand and stuff like nothing major. But like I was surprised they picked air as the like this is the rare one and we haven't seen a windwalker in like 100 years or whatever. So I don't know. None of the world building was that unique, but I mean, I feel like elemental fantasy, like it's cool. So
very. Mars likes that in Uprooted. It feels like simple fantasy, but the Polish influence is still very prevalent. Like Mars remembers doing research into Polish folklore after the first time reading it. I have no idea about Polish folklore, but I will just believe you when you say that.
Same.
And Lynn says, I think the writing style is adding to my confusion of the naming.
Yeah, I will say, like, it's definitely like a lot sometimes. I don't think it's necessarily, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't think it's difficult to understand. I just think the writing style's weird at times.
Yeah, no, I feel like that was the way with me when we had Elemental Fantasy and I read, what was it called? Fire Logic? Like, it was just terrible to read. Like, I had zero enjoyment because I would read a sentence and I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to reread things, like, especially when they're going into, like, complicated stuff. I have to reread it, but at a certain point, my eyes just glaze over and I'm like, never mind.
Mars also didn't know about Polish folklore before reading it, but remembers seeing the author talk about her influence and wanted to know more about it. Interesting. Maybe I have to look into that. Send me your sources. Uprooted has a good twist. Rangers in the naming tell us about the bad guy, but in Uprooted it is still kind of a mystery to them. And when they realize what's happening, I did not see it coming. Oh, don't tell me! I need to listen to the last 3 hours. Don't. Thank you.
Is that it for that?
I think so.
Oh, I feel like Rangers was just literally copying off of medieval Europe and just coming up with different names. Like if you look, the map even literally is just like England and Ireland. I'm like, okay. Like
yeah, the one place is called Scandia. I'm like, I wonder what Scandia is.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Vikings.
Yeah. I mean, it works though. Like it was simple, and I feel like middle grade, like you don't need anything complicated. Like something that's familiar works. All right. Our next topic: favorite character, or was there a favorite relationship or dynamic? I can start.
Okay.
But I don't want to. Again, I don't feel like I'm talking too much. Oh my god. Okay. I don't like it only me. Awakens, none of the relationships really stood out to me. So it's just kind of I liked, I think I mentioned her before, the fire woman who like took care of her when she was injured and was like, I'll be your mentor if you want me kind of thing. And she was super kind, and I feel like a secret badass, but I didn't get to see like enough of her. So I hope that she gets more screen time, like, in the book. And I don't want to overstep or speak for you, Violet, but one of my favorite dynamics in Rangers is the relationship between the Rangers and their horses.
I was just going to bring that up.
I thought it's so cute.
It is cute, yeah.
Please do elaborate on that, Violet.
They have like special ranger horses in Ranger's Apprentice. Like they're not regular horses. They look more like
they're
ponies.
Not like other girls.
Like little ponies, sturdy ponies. Yeah.
Yeah, they're ponies, but like I really imagine like if you've seen pictures of like Icelandic horses, that's like in my head what I was picturing, like long-haired, fluffy, but kind of like short and stocky. And like they're super loyal to like only Rangers can ride them. Like,
and they have secret passcodes that to ride them you have to whisper in their ear. Otherwise, they'll buck you off, and you won't be able to ride them.
The joke on poor Will.
Yeah,
they like did not tell him.
Yeah, and I know I feel like it wasn't as much in the first book, but I know later on in the series, there's just so much like especially with Will and Tug, like unspoken, like the horses will have like dialogue with their eyes. Like obviously they're not actually talking, but it's like you can tell like. The horses have expressions and feelings too, and I just think it's so cute and wholesome that they.
Yeah, it was a great use of like an animal companion trope.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Tug also like in on the prank on Horace too, like Horace is like, I can ride your horse, and then Tug's like, like. But. Anyways, sorry, I didn't want to overstep there, but that was notable for Rangers for me. Any other favorite characters or dynamics?
Yes. I love the dragon just because I feel like he's so relatable. Because I think I said that, he gets really upset when our main character just is good at magic that he's been trying to figure out. And I think that's so relatable. Like, if someone else just swoops in and tries to do something you've been trying to do for 150 years and they're just good at it, how infuriating is that?
That would drive me nuts, yeah.
And then he almost dies, and I think he almost dies. And she like saves him, and she like uses up all of his potions. And he's like, "Why did you use up all of my potions?" He's like, "Well, to save you." And he's like, "Well, you shouldn't have." I think we all can relate to that. Like, do we really want to be alive that badly? Probably not. So I think it's just funny. Not like intentionally funny, but like unintentionally funny.
No, but I notice this all the time. Like when I'm like reading books or watching a TV show, there'll be like a really precious item, and like they'll be in a life or death scenario and use the item, and I'll be like, don't waste the item, and it's like they're literally gonna die otherwise. Like,
just let them die. I don't care.
But is it worth risking the MacGuffin because it's so precious and I mean sentimental? Like, well, I guess so. Like.
Oh yeah, this is so funny. So as I said, she'll do stuff like intuitively, and like stuff will change. Like so she'll do the same spell, but she won't do the same exact thing every time. And the dragon will literally stand next to her and take like notes of everything. And in that one scene, she accidentally sneezes from smelling something too much, and he'll take note of her sneezing.
Oh my god!
Because like she did it, so it must be done.
What an icon!
So extra.
I love him.
Yeah.
So see, that's why I don't care that he's 150. I don't.
Because I made him relatable. It doesn't matter that he's that old.
He's funny and weird.
Right.
Yeah.
Quirky. It's not like the other dragons. Because, you know, he's a human, but
Okay.
I mean, a wizard, but you know.
All right. I feel like this is almost the same boat.
Wait.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Well, no, actually, we can talk about the love interest and no, continue.
Love interest is our last topic. So
No, but like my favorite character
goes
has
with-
to.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have the floor.
Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. So, like, spoilers. He dies.
Yeah.
But
What?
and he's not really a love interest, but he's my favorite. His name is, I want to say his name is Durnhill.
Durnhill.
Don't make
good
also
names all
really
around.
Taking two random words and putting them together and calling it a fancy
Hold on, let me see if
name.
I can. I feel like it's something like that.
Hold on, while you're looking, let's address some other people's favorite characters.
Okay.
Master's favorite character in Uprooted is Alosha, another wizard, and in Rangers it's Holt and Crowley.
Crowley. Oh, yeah, that's so good.
Also the horses. Thank you. Then Michael tried to make a joke, but Mars actually corrected Michael in that joke, which
But
10 out of 10 to you, cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, and you know, Savian hates us. It's okay.
Bye.
Bye, bestie.
that's not true, and you know it. That's not. It's a little.
Is it not true because you got called out?
You know what, Anne? You can go fuck yourself.
Okay, bye.
And come back. Okay. Well, I can't figure out. I'm pretty sure his name's Durnhill. That's what I remember. So Durnhill is like a little nerd. He sits up in a library all day and he reads books. And I think, you know, like Anne, that he's my favorite because it's relatable.
Right.
You know? And like he's also like he's a poet, and I think that's cute. He's like a really good poet. Like him and Cadvan had like a duel once.
A poetry duel.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know that's a thing, right? Because Cadvan, when he was really young, he was like, oh, like, I can beat you. And Durnhill was like, I mean, I'm really nerdy and you're scary and you have a sword, but like, I'm still gonna beat you.
Cute.
Yeah. So like, I love Durnhill. Anyway, so Durnhill kind of like helps teach Mayrid like some like basic, like how to write and read, basically, because she doesn't know how. And like I will say he is definitely way older than her. And she doesn't like, so this is, he kind of like gets a crush on her. And before they go to leave, he like kisses her goodbye, but she like freaks out, right? Bites his lips. And like it's a whole thing. Icon. You'd love to see it. But you have to understand is like the only like she's not seen like healthy relationships, and she, because she was a slave, views men as like a threat and male desire as a threat. So she doesn't realize it's like this whole thing. And I think I don't like it's not, he's not really a love interest, but kind of, I guess. He does die, but I like I'm trying to, sorry, words. I feel like it like kind of teaches her that like it's not necessarily all threatening, especially because Cadvan later looks at her and is just basically like, no, like don't feel bad. Durnhill's a good man. He knows not to hold his feelings against you, which I really like. The kind of in the thought of like, you know, because sometimes, you know, like if a man likes a woman and the woman doesn't like them back, the woman will feel guilty and the man will be weird about it.
Yeah.
You're leading me on or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah.
So Stan, and then he dies.
Wow.
I'm really upset about it, okay? I was like, maybe he survived. No.
Maybe he comes back. You don't know. Maybe that's part of the magic.
Maybe. You never know.
I mean, if you had read the book, we would know, but yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I do actually regret inviting you.
No. Hold on. I'll sort this out. Taylor, tell me where to send the link, and you'll be here.
I'm happy Taylor is here. I'm here for it.
Agreed.
I mean, you could just ask her to come here and hang out with us. We're the best company.
That's true.
Go hang out with your girlfriend.
We got the two most superior book clubs here. Like,
I mean, obviously.
Yeah. Like, what else do you need?
Yeah.
True.
Exactly.
I don't know. People's brains.
Anne, please.
What?
This is true. I will say, I forgot. He dies protecting her because the Nazgul go and like interrogate him.
Even worse.
Yeah, and he's like, "No, I'm not telling you," and they kill him.
So
I would have cried.
No, I was really upset. I was like, well, because the scene ends with his body falling to the ground, and then a raven comes and tells Cadvan and Mayrid what happened. And I was like, maybe he was just like injured. Maybe he's not dead. He's dead.
Wow.
Permanently dead or like temporarily
No,
dead?
he dead. I mean, maybe he comes back. There's 4 books, but I get the sense that death in this world is pretty permanent.
Okay.
Not like supernatural. Okay,
Yeah.
get it.
No, he's not coming back 12 times.
I'm trying to think of any of the other. Oh, so for love interest in Awakens, so obviously I alluded to the prince, and before you know it's the prince, even though you kind of know it's him, and before their whole mentor dynamic, they were kind of like, I didn't like what they were writing, but they were like had a book and they were magically writing little notes to each other, and like they couldn't see their faces or anything, but basically like the fantasy loophole for texting of like, I'm gonna write in this book and it's magically gonna go to him kind of thing.
A little bit like Chamber of Secrets vibes.
Yeah. And like their notes were super dumb, but I liked the concept of that. I was like, that's kind of cute. Like, oh, like, you know, blind writing to each other and not knowing who each other's are. I'm like, okay. And then I feel bad. I don't know if I stand him or roast him, but Vala has a childhood friend who also works in the library with her. And of course, he's like crushing on her and she's like oblivious to it. And her other friend's like, Serene likes you. And she's like, no, he doesn't. And then he's like awkwardly asking her out. And she's like, oh no, he does like me. And then she's like, well, if he's nice enough, I guess. Like, I guess I'll go out with him, but I want him to know my true colors. Let me show him my sorcerer powers. And he completely freaks out and leaves. And I feel bad for her, but I'm like, I don't want her to be isolated. And I feel like he's trying to apologize, but I haven't gotten to that part yet. But like, I don't know. He just I feel like I'm just roasting all the characters and love interests in this because none of them were
You
that
always
strong.
as you should. That is
And
your
they're just-
divine given right.
like, I don't
Not
know.
all love
Even the
interests
main
can be soft.
character, she's kind of dumb, and I'm like, she doesn't deserve this much attention from a cool prince. Like, I don't know. Like for as smart as she is, considering she works in the library, like she plays dumb all the time, and I'm just like, where's
Okay,
the
I do hate
confidence
that.
and the like? I don't know. And then he
It's
has dumb.
killing me right now. Can we just rewind like 5 minutes ago where you're like feminism, women shouldn't be cooks, and now that dumb girl.
They're all dumb. No, but like seriously, I'm like, as smart as you act, and like, I don't know. But I know she's 17, so maybe I should give her a break.
Fair
But
enough.
like, I don't know.
We're all stupid when we're 17.
Yeah, total assholes.
Yeah. But then the prince has dumb pet names for her. Like none of the dynamics in
What are the
literature,
dumb
like,
pet names
Yeah,
out of
you
curiosity?
can't just
Oh,
drop
let
something
me
like
see.
that.
Okay, y'all keep talking. I'm gonna need to scroll through the book to see if I can find.
What is everyone's least favorite pet name?
I don't like generic pet names.
That reminds
Okay.
me actually of something that's not a pet name, but something in this book. The bullies in this book always call Will baby. And like it
Yeah.
always came off like really cringe to me.
It's
like,
a
baby,
little
baby.
gay.
It was like
No, yeah, I agree with that. I forgot
that doesn't sound as tough as you think, man. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, I also don't like pet names that try to be like too cool. Like pet names that are kind of like
I'm struggling to find them now. I should have highlighted them in my.
it's okay.
Okay.
I'll find one. They kept
You got
calling each
this.
other. One of them was Parrot, because she would always like repeat questions back to him, and she's like a parrot repeating. It was so dumb. And that's why I'm like, she acts so stupid considering she's supposed to be like super smart and like the chosen one or whatever. I'm like, what?
That's weird.
Hold on.
Parrot.
So they,
Somebody
yeah.
called me parrot, I would straight up slap them.
Oh, what's your parents?
What?
Nothing?
What did you just say to me, Anne? I
Nothing.
will fly to Germany.
Oh my
aggressive over here.
Hi, welcome back. Are we friends
Why
again?
can't I find-
We're friends again.
Okay. Good.
Oh, no,
Enemy
they call him
lovers.
Parrot. They both call each other Parrot. I don't know. It's dumb. I have to go like way back to the beginning.
Yes, this is cute. Sorry, I saw this and I was like,
Yeah.
it's adorable.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Well,
Anyways, if this keeps going on, I'll just.
you can always find it and post it in our Instagram story.
I might do that.
Please do. Are we done with the love interest?
No, I'm
Yeah.
not done. I have more things.
Oh
to
my
say
god,
about
I'm
it.
so sorry.
Okay.
I mean, I don't actually like. I like him as a character. I even like the dynamic. I don't like the fact that he's so much older. I don't like the fact that he's her mentor. But I think this book could have been such a good sapphic romance if she just had made the best friend the love interest, because she talks about her in the beginning like she's so cool, she's so special, she's the chosen one, and then she comes back into her life later. Like it would have made such a good romance arc. It didn't, but it should have.
Why is it every time there's the perfect opportunity for a really good queer romance and the author is like, no?
Well, do you want to get into that?
Not really. I don't think.
That's a whole other stream. To unpack
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah. No, I think. Yeah, I agree. So Masters left a comment, which will that is. You're not alone in thinking that. If you read the Goodreads reviews, and 90% of them say why were they not lesbians?
Me reading anything.
It was set up like that. It should have been. We were robbed. We were robbed.
Okay, so I know where to set my expectations going into reading Uprooted.
Yes. Yes, wishing it
Yeah,
to
I
be
can't
more
find
gay.
any right now, but I will post a follow-up in the Discord.
Please.
All right, are we done
Yep.
with love interest? Any final thoughts before we announce and promote our other streams and books and things?
I hope to finish this. I probably will, but I probably won't.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Thank you.
I think I actually will finish my book probably tomorrow because I did listen to like 10 hours of this today, so I can do another 3. It's fine. I think it was like 9 hours all in all, so it
You
wasn't
can
even
just
that
like
bad.
play a video game and put it on.
I just bought the new Sims pack.
Oh, okay. Do you like it? See, I just bought the high school pack. Okay, this is an off stream.
We talk about this after the stream, okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I think my book was really, really good, and it would have been better had I not rushed it as much, and it also would have been better if the dragon wasn't 150 years. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Also, they should have been lesbians.
Yeah.
My book would have been better if I was 12.
Yeah. Yep.
We should add that like banner. My book would have been better if ...
My book's okay. If you want to read elemental fantasy and need a quick, easy read, it works. All right. Violet, do you want to promote your stream?
Yes. So I will also be hosting a talk about Ranger's Apprentice more in depth on the Nostalgia Train channel on Sunday at insert time zone here.
Hold on.
Oh, looks.
Yeah.
This is what happens when you have a secretary. You say insert something here and it just happens. It's going to be a fun time. I have a Google form. It's in the Discord of helping pick the next picks because I have.
I filled it out.
Yeah,
I also filled
I
it
saw
out.
that. For the Nostalgia Train, we don't read anything in nano months, so we won't be reading for April. So we have I have a little bit of time to get the next reads in order. But as of right now, the schedule is not finite. So if people have books they want to read, your opinions are valid to me.
Unless they disagree with your opinions, then you don't care.
It's not true. I'm a very kind person.
Sometimes.
And Violet and Nostalgia Train should both be linked below. So if you're not following them already, go do that.
What are you doing?
What? Oh. My brain is.
If you're not following that, yes, sorry.
Yeah. What are you? Yeah.
Do you have it better with our next reads?
Yeah. Well, drum roll to announce our theme for next month for Tome Travelers. Steampunk.
It's very exciting.
It should be a fun time. Do you have your book, and I have my book.
I don't know if this is next month's book, but it is. I will be reading this within the next 3 months. This is Violet's favorite series.
It's one of my favorite books, so I'm super excited.
Yeah, that is your book for next month, and this is my book for next month.
I'm going to probably read this too as well.
Yeah,
my library
is like steampunk World War I with cool steampunk art.
Ooh.
I read this a while ago and I'm excited to reread it. So
fun.
Anyways, and then
I haven't bought mine yet, but I will.
Your book is Bone Shaker, right?
I picked my picks so long ago that I forgot what my picks were.
It's Bone Shaker.
M is the master secretary. She
Go
knows.
check our Instagram. It has all the books listed. Anyways, thank you everyone for joining us, and extra special thank you for Violet for joining us and collaborating. This was fun, and I'm sorry I talked so much about Rangers on this stream instead of your stream on Sunday because I can't make it, so I needed to talk about it now. And we appreciate you. So Yeah. everyone
Violet
go
is busy
follow-
with her partner, it seems like.
Oh my gosh, I can like just see in my eyes.
All right. All right. Bye, everybody. See you next